What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. It's another episode of Collector's Spotlight, and we've got Doug Driesel back on for a second week in a row. Today we're talking about the interesting project that Doug has started. If you didn't watch last week's video, pause this one, make sure to go watch that one real quick before we get into the topic here, because the linear discussion really ties together. And we talked a little bit about last week. Well, I don't want to spoil it. You'll have to go watch it. But Doug has started this interesting project involving ring mats? You mean those cards with those little gray pieces of the ring-used ring mat that people just kind of throw away? Or in some cases, in some Facebook groups or on Twitter or story sales, people think a plain Shorty G Relic from Money in the Bank is worth like $50. Yeah, those Relic cards, those little gray pieces of mat, ring-used mat, that's what Doug is collecting. You will not want to miss this conversation and just kind of the mindset that went into putting together this PC. Also, pay close attention to this interview where Doug talks about how you can actually help contribute to this project and help him get to this goal even faster. If you've just got some Relic cards laying around of those ring-used mats that you just don't want. He needs our help, so let's make it happen, people. But as always, before we get into that great discussion about a really interesting, obscure project that Doug has started, here's some ways you can help contribute to my content. The first thing you can do, it's easy, it's free, you're already here. Hit that subscribe button and give me a like. Don't forget, share this video with everyone. Share it on social media. Share it with other collectors, wrestling fans, sports card collectors, anybody you think would enjoy it, friends, family members, coworkers, just get this video out to everybody. Make sure to check out the podcasts I'm involved with, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast, my solo podcast, where I just kind of talk about some interesting hobby headlines or react to stuff I see on social media. It's more of a short form content as opposed to some of these videos. And then check out the Wrestling with Cards podcast, myself and Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com. Each and every week, we're talking all things wrestling cards. No topic off limits. Nobody's off limits. We're shooting, brother. Both of those podcasts are available on all popular podcast platforms. So again, just search Worlds Collide Wrestling Card Podcast, Wrestling with Cards Podcast, and you should find it. Please subscribe and leave us a review while you're there. Again, just like this video I talked about earlier, share this with everybody that you can on social media, friends, family, you name it. If you'd like to help contribute to my content monetarily, check out Wrestling with Cards on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos, like all of the members of the wrestling card community currently on Patreon right here that you're looking at. We thank them for their support. And there are other tiers you can get into that have bonus content, easy access to coupons for my eBay store or other merchandise. You can even become part of the booking committee. No, not that WCW booking committee, although the Wrestling with Cards booking committee might even be worse. And you can kind of steer the way the content goes. You can come on the show quarterly, talk about whatever you want. Lots of good options to join the Wrestling with Cards community on Patreon. If you want to buy something, check out Beast Mode Collectibles. That's my eBay store. I've got all kinds of fun stuff on there, as little as $1.50 ship, all the way up to like mid-tier, high-end. I don't know what you guys want to consider high-end, but you know, slabs for a few $100s up to like $1,000 sometimes. Memorabilia, kind of collectibles. You never know what's going to show up on there. Check out all my social platforms. I'm pretty much on anything at this point, so just search Zhan Morning. But if you don't want to search that, you can find the links in the show notes to not only everything I've spoke about so far, but also links to all of my social platforms are there as well. And of course, I can't get out of here without talking about donations for coffee. That's right, gotta stay caffeinated to keep the videos and the podcasts and social media, whatever it is that I'm putting content out on, I've got to have a lot of caffeine to do that. I told you guys we would be back the following week, which was last week, to talk about an awesome project. Welcome to another episode of It's Wrestling with Cards, of course, but it's Collector Spotlight, where I like to look at something that someone is doing in the hobby that's just a little bit different than the status quo. And we've got a project today that I had never even heard about until you told me, I think in a message or something, that you were doing this. And I was like, you're crazy. This is nuts. So Doug, welcome back. And I'm just going to give you the floor to introduce this project.
Before I introduce the project, I really do think it's funny that this is the first time you've heard of it, because I literally got the idea from you and Tony.
See, I remember Tony saying that, but then yeah. I think it was just something we were joking about.
Oh yeah, you were saying it would be stupid to do, and that's what stuck in my brain.
Well, if I did, then I'm standing corrected then, because when you told me that you were doing it, I was like, I don't think anyone's ever done this. And if it was actually accomplished, that would be like that really would be like a huge feat.
Oh yeah, and given the topic of the last show we did together, I hope I stick with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so far I don't, I've really gone all in on it. So but
All right,
yeah,
so
anyway.
let's start from where you heard me and Tony talking about it apparently, and then go from there, like how it took off and the
Okay.
origins.
So go back and watch the last episode because there's going to be a big chunk that I'm going to be like, and then all the stuff in the last episode happened. All right. So, I heard the thing on your guys' show. You should plug that show.
Worlds Collide.
There you go. See, ever a professional myself. So yes. I was listening to Worlds Collide, and I don't remember what the topic was at all. Like, it was back when I was just shotgunning your show to get information.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember what the topic was, but I do remember you talking about how non-event specific relics are worthless. Or maybe not worthless. Maybe I'm adding a little bit of
from a monetary. I'll just stop for a minute. For a monetary perspective, worthless. From a collecting perspective, none whatsoever. Because even in my eBay store, like, people like to put together the rainbows of a specific event that they were at, even though the event might, it might be like Otis or I don't know, pick a random person that is on the WWE on a matte relic that's out of $2.99. Like, it's a $2, $3, $4, $5 card, but to that person that was at that event, it's priceless. So they're not
Absolutely.
totally trash, but from a monetary perspective, they're not like something that, I think there's this misconception that a lot of people think they're worth a ton of money because they're ring used. And I still think they're cool, but they're just not worth what people think they are. So that's what I meant.
And that mentality is something we will talk about later when it comes to picking up matte relics. But it's I just remember you talking about that, and then that joke was made. And then I kind of over the last 10 months or however long it's been, maybe it was longer than that, but over the last year or so, I've heard maybe a couple of other people kind of joke about it. Like, nobody was serious. Like, I'm not like stealing somebody's idea as far as I know.
Well,
like,
if I could stop you for a second, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when I heard you were doing this, I don't know how you or anybody else that's familiar. I had Bo Thompson on, who is trying to currently collect 1 million Cubs cards. And it's any kind of card. Like, if he's trying to get to that 1 million, and I had those same vibes when I heard that you were doing this project, and it's hoarding, but there's an end goal. And normally so I don't know why you guys are doing this, but I was like, this rules. And I've even kind of started doing that with Karrion Kross. Like, anytime I pull out I could have like 50 of the base cards or whatever, and I just start putting them out and counting them out. Like, how big can I get this collection? So I think when you said you were doing it, I immediately thought of Bo Thompson and his 1 million Cubs project.
And I'm not going to lie and say that it wasn't somewhat of an inspiration,
Okay.
Having something that is that focused was something I really wanted, and so all the stuff that happened in the last episode we did about being unfocused and bounce around and blah blah blah. So I bounced around a lot and I wanted to focus, and I am nothing if not a person who doesn't take a joke way too far. So I realized that that's something I could do, because like, I'd been getting rid of, a lot of the 2021 flagship relics that I was like annoyed that I got, and I'm like, wait a second, well, what if I'm not annoyed that I got these? What if these cheap things are the things I'm excited about, and then it grew from there, because like, not all matte relics are cheap. There's some expensive ones out there, and the prices are actually going up, oddly enough, as the rest of the industry, as the rest of the card collecting world, the prices seem to be going down a little bit. Matte relics seem to be going up, honestly. And maybe it's just because I've picked up all the cheap ones. I don't know, but it's it became that mentality of like, well, turning trash into treasure. Like, this is what I'm getting. I like to use the analogy Anthony Bourdain used one time of Chinese I don't know if peasant is a derogatory word, but poor people in China, the reason Chinese food is so good is because they had to like take absolutely nothing and make it it tastes delicious. Like that kind of mentality has always appealed to me, of taking what nobody else wants and turning it into something that is absolutely awesome. So all of those kind of things really coalesced into, well, why not just do this then? And then there was also there's also honestly a little bit of, I got tired of wrestling cards a little bit for a couple of reasons. Like one of them was I realized that I like wrestling cards a lot more than I like wrestling. Like
Gotcha.
I used to love wrestling, and when I got back into wrestling cards, I was like, oh, then that's going to translate to I'm going to like wrestling again, and then I really tried for like several months, and I enjoy the clips here or there, like I can't, like as soon as our Monday night D&D game was over, I sure as heck tuned in to see what went on with the Elias concert, but
well, I think I mean, I wouldn't say that makes you not a wrestling fan though. I mean, you're like the rest, me and Tony, we've talked about, we view wrestling like we view 10 o'clock news used to be, or Sports Center or something, where we're just getting the bits and pieces to know what's going on and then moving on.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't want to make it sound like I'm not a fan at all.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not the level of fan that it makes sense to me to have all these pictures of pictures of people in my house. Like
Gotcha.
Like Andre the Giant, sure. Like an amazing person and all of that, but like, why do I have so many Cesaro cards? Like I barely know who that is. And that's not a slam on him. I'm not up on wrestling, current wrestling. Like the only reason I know picked him out of the hat is because when we're filming this, the thing just happened.
Right.
It's one of those things where I was really all in on it because the community drew me in. Like I really liked the community and I liked wrestling enough, so it was like it made sense. But then there was like this riff when Panini came out that people started like sniping at each other and stuff, and I wasn't really into that, because like I don't care one way or another about Panini. I don't like the product. I think it looks ugly, but it doesn't mean that someone else can't,
Right.
So it's like that mentality of sniping at other people or really pushing a thing or whatever, it really turned me off of the scene. So I really just like withdrew from wrestling for a while, from all of that stuff and just some like political stuff that I know you keep your show pretty apolitical, but like I just found out where a lot of wrestlers were putting their money and some stuff they said on podcasts, and I'm like, I don't want to support that, and I don't, I just want to withdraw from this for a minute. So I did, and then I bought some Godzilla cards and went, why did I buy Godzilla cards? And and then so I bought these Godzilla cards. I'm looking at these Godzilla cards. I'm like, oh, these are cool Godzilla cards. Can't remember the last time I watched a Godzilla movie, and I'm like, so that really didn't solve that problem. And then I realized that and then the Matt Relic thing started percolating. And then I realized that, if I'm collecting the Matt Relic, I'm not collecting who's on the card. So like it can be somebody that I don't morally agree with or whatever, and it's because it's not them I'm collecting, it's that Matt from that event, and so that really is the moral scapegoat that I used in order to get back into into that arena, and that's once again like to each their own. Like I don't care one way or another what anybody collects. Like, say what you want about the dude. Hulk Hogan cards are worth a lot of money,
Yeah.
like, and he is an iconic person. So I'm not like saying you shouldn't own his money because he's done and said horrible things, like I'm not, slamming people for being a fan of something awesome. I still get goosebumps when I hear dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I don't want Hulk Hogan cards, just because of my own personal stuff, and by all means, please enjoy your Hulk Hogan cards, enjoy all of the other people that I don't agree with, but I don't want to, and that makes these matte relics really special to me, because then I can collect that piece of the thing, and then I've got that, and
well,
also,
and it is, oh, sorry,
so
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and also it's so stupid.
Well,
So,
I'm not sure. Like, it is really cool to have event use stuff, like no matter what it is. Like, it's especially a little bit off topic, but if you start getting into some of the non-sport, like event use, like bullets that came from things, or like shark teeth, like that stuff's always cool. So going
anything
back,
Historic Autographs puts out.
yeah. So to say that the matte relics are stupid, they're not worth a lot of money most of the time. Some are. We already said that. But they're not stupid. I think they're cool. So
miscommunication. Collecting 57,600 square inches of matte relic is stupid.
I don't know. We could say the same for Bo's 1 million Cubs. Who would want 1 million cards of anything,
right,
let alone that? But people love it, and they love following it. They love helping him out with it. And that's kind of what I think I've seen from a distance happen with your project. So you're wanting to put together a regulation size ring. If I'm correct, we can start talking. Correct. Let's start digging into the details of this project.
Yeah. So a regulation according to Wikipedia, a regulation WWE ring, depending on the size of the arena, they do have smaller ones for smaller arenas, but televised events is usually 20 feet by 20 feet. So that is 240 inches by 240 inches. That is 57,600 square inches of mat. So that's what I'm collecting. So to be clear, I'm not collecting 57,600 cards. Like if I did this all with like undisputed matte relics, then divide that by 4, and that's how many cards I would need.
Gotcha.
And but since I'm doing everything, it's going to be some random number. But most matte relics out there, like 98% of the matte relics are 1 square inch. That's your all the stuff you see, and then you got the last 2 years of women's division are 2 square inches, and I've seen a couple of 2 square inches short prints pop up here and there, but they're fairly uncommon. And then you only see like one heritage set put out a very, very short print triple matte relic, but it's 3 separate square inches from 3 different events. And so so you rarely see like a 3 square inch because they want it to be uniform.
Sure.
But and then you've got your 4 square inches for your fully loadeds and your undisputeds.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the storage option looking like? Is this one of those things kind of like what I think Bo might be doing with his, he's just putting them in boxes and keeping track of them and like a spreadsheet or something like that? Is that going to be the, like, in my opinion, that would be the best option? But what are your plans as far as like storage, keeping track of everything, how you actually are getting a size for it?
Yeah, honestly, right now I am happy that it's so early in it. I currently, at the time of this recording, have 169 square inches of mat. So I've got a long way to go before I have to really worry about anything more than shelf space. But yes, it is boxes. I'll just pull one random here. I've got BCW box that's actually intended for graded cards, but I kind of got rid of most of my graded cards for matte relics and stuff. So let's see here. Let's just pull a random one out. So I just use the 100-point top loader with a penny sleeve underneath.
Is that a Nia Jax card?
Yeah, that's a Nia Jax base.
So see that, somebody that is not
flex.
not that important to the wrestling card hobby is actually important to your collection based on what the type of card it is.
Exactly. There's like a lot of those, like, and then there's some, like I mean, just talking about a prospecting point, like by the time I get done with this collection, who knows where Ludwig's gonna be? I've got so many Marcel Barthels, like I who knows where he's gonna be? He could, Walter may, go out of the stratosphere, and then he's the next Bobby the Brain. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
By the time I'm done with this collection, the 6 I already have, might be something. I don't know who Trent Seven is, but I have literally 7 of his Matt Relic, so maybe somebody someday. I don't know, but all of these cheap guys that I'm picking up, like the same price as Nia Jax stuff, like who knows. Nia Jax is pretty much done, but who knows where these other cats are going to be down the road. These NXT people who got nowhere in the WWE system, who knows where they're going to be when they get picked up by, Ring of Honor, or, AEW or whoever, Impact, like there's so much more room to grow now that, picking up these small no-name nobodies isn't necessarily like a dumb move. And it gives me a way to speculate in the hobby without, putting all of my eggs in one cart. Because one of the things that led to the moral panic that I was talking earlier was I went all in on Wes Carter.
Oh yeah,
not Wes Carter, Nash Carter.
Nash Carter, yeah.
I went all in on Nash Carter. And then that whole thing happened, and that's what really made me think, like,
well, and several people did that a couple of years ago on Joey Ryan stuff, and I saw where Disneyland actually just fired him. So
yeah. And so it was just like when that happened, that was what really set off that that moral panic of just like, oh no, I picked the wrong pony, whereas this, it's like, okay, I've got all these ponies now, and some of them suck and some of them don't. So let's see what happens, and that lets me speculate. 2
things I want to touch on with that is the speculation part. Number one, who's to say in 5, 10, 20 years from now, hopefully you're still doing this. I want to see it completed, but who's to say that all of a sudden Matt Relics don't become the thing, right? The Matt Relics from a certain event that we look back on 15 years ago and realize, oh, this was this one thing that a lot of people are pushing right now is like specific Roman Reigns events or specific WrestleMania events where there was an iconic match or moment or something. So who's to say 15 years from now, like these cards may be in that stratosphere if in fact you do want to sell them. Now let's talk about this is like as traditional of a collecting thing as it gets, because in my opinion, I feel like you're focusing on the collection, not the cards and not the money, because you have a goal of trying to get this done. And it's one of those things where this is my goal, this is what I'm liking to do. But if it gets to a point where, maybe I could sell them to, for a large amount of money once I get it completed, or, maybe something happens and you just see where you're not going to get it completed, then you could just get what you could out of it. But the focus is on the collection, not the money.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't tell what the question was, but I can say that I do focus on the collection, not the money. But boy, howdy, if I finish this, it's not going to be worth nothing. And having honestly, it was a little interesting because my girlfriend is very supportive. She's like a very supportive person. But she's not always been so understanding of trading cards, not like, like bashing them or being upset that I have them or whatever. But, it's definitely something she's like, okay, good for you, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about this collection, and then she starts talking about, oh, well, when you finish it, and I'm like, oh, you're excited about me finishing it. And she's like, yeah, that's a cool project. And like, when you finish it, like, maybe we use an auction house, or we can and then she starts,
have you considered that if you actually got it finished, you could market it as being sold this many Rat Relic cards as an official ring? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't plan on keeping them. Like, once this is done, I will take a big picture look at them for maybe a couple of days, and then see what I can do to not have them anymore.
You're gonna have to get somebody with a drone, or if you already, unless you have one, and like lay this out outside. That'd be so cool. What a good video that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing though, is like it would need to be a big warehouse, because I don't know, because by the time I'm done with this, like right now I've got some pretty cool matte relics, but nothing that's like in the triple digits, you know. But I by the time I'm done with this, I definitely have cards I wouldn't want to just be laying in a field, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's something I'd have to work on and figure out there, you know. But yeah, definitely the goal is going to be taking a big picture of it, everything laid out, like I've been doing on my socials. You know, every time I reach what I think is a milestone, I lay them out and take a little camera trick picture. That just it is a lot, but my little tricks make it look like it's even more.
So let's talk about the specific cards, and this is going to be helpful for people watching this to maybe help contribute to the project. You've said it on last week's video, previous videos, that you know the community really helps out at times, and they will give you more than you ask for. Sometimes they'll give you when you don't ask for. And I think that's something that we could really get pushed to help you get this project done. So what kind of cards, you mentioned the types of the sizes. What are there any cards that you're just really not looking for? Like, let's say booklets, you know, that open up. Are you accepting those? Are you accepting slabs? Like, what are some things you're kind of prioritizing as far as like, I can get these cards for cheaper, or these cards I don't want because they're in this slab? Like, what's kind of the game plan as far as the specific cards go?
Well, I honestly hadn't considered booklets or slabs at all until you just mentioned them. But I'd probably put them in the same arena as fully loaded, where it's like, yes, I want them because they're mats, you know, but when it comes down to it, you know, that's extra storage and probably extra money, you know. Like right now when I pick up online, I really focus on the cheaper, you know, the 2021 flagship base, you know. I mean, that's your bread and butter and something like this, because, you know, even though they're 1 square inch each, it really generally works out to, if I'm paying $3 to $4 shipped per, you know, one of these, and that money, you know, comes from like rollover on other stuff, you know. So like I mean, I put some of my own money into this, but most of this is rollover from trades on stuff I've had from trades, you know. And then so, you know, when I put my money in there, it really does tend to work out better to just get those 2021 flagship base. Now, that being said, I have gotten incredible deals on some undisputed, you know, 4 square inches, where I'm paying like $1 for an autographed one, you know. And, you know, you can run across those, and those are awesome. And I still try to take advantage of that anytime I can. But when it comes to trade, I really just want everyone to be happy. I want your garbage. You know, like, I mean, you know, give me your crap. As long as it's a matte relic, I don't care if it's somebody you hate. I don't care if it's been stepped on. I don't care, you know, as long as the matte relic is still intact, I want it. You know,
clarification on that too. Are you also going to be taking matte relics from other companies, like if there's an Impact card or AEW or something?
No, at this time, no. It's one of those things that I really did consider, but I honestly feel weird enough accepting NXT. You know, like I do. Gotcha. I happily do, because it's a WWE product, but it seems like a different mat to me. You know. So
well, and it's probably
my girlfriend is grabbing something in front of the camera and being very oh no, sweetie, go ahead. What's that? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't think she would freeze very scared when I started talking about her, but she really didn't want to interrupt our conversation, and I thought it would be funny to mention her, but nope, it was the opposite of that. So
all right, so basically just the WWE stuff then, that actually makes it like they're producing more relics that people don't want than any other company, so that works in your favor.
Oh yeah, and that works in my favor too, you know. Yeah, because for me, really the base of it is that is a different ring.
Yeah.
It's just a different ring. And it's not like, and I want to make it clear, it's not like a WWE preference. Like the wrestlers that I prefer to watch clips of on YouTube are like Danhausen and Hook, like Orange Cassidy, and I love the New Day still, and I'm really digging what's going on with Elias these days, but
That's been great.
Sorry, Ezekiel, yeah, pardon me. And all of that stuff is super fun too. So I don't want my adherence to it being a WWE mat to make it seem like I just don't care about these other companies. Like you said, A, it's cheaper for me, and B, it's just a different ring,
Right. All right. So in kind of closing, how can people help you get this done? How can they help contribute? Put it out there, kind of the unpaid ad, so to speak, to the wrestling card community for them to get you those relics.
We have my website is linktra.ee /green circle y'all. Boy, that's a confusing free website. But yes, just go to either Twitter or Instagram, whichever is your favorite. Hit me up on at Green Circle Y'all. That's going to have you're going to be able to get a hold of me better on Instagram and Twitter than you are on any other way of getting a hold of me. And B, those have the link to that link tree I just mentioned and in my bio, and you can click on that. And then it also has a link to a Flickr account that has pictures of everything I currently have up for trade. And I keep it pretty up to date. So like if I sell something on eBay, it'll get taken off. So
yeah, and that's another thing I'll say before we get out of here is that you do want to focus most of this on trades. So I'm assuming you'll buy something if somebody just gave you a heck of a deal, but this is an opportunity for a lot of people to move a lot of those relics that they just have laying around that they either can't sell on eBay or don't have any interest in holding anymore. This is your opportunity. Like, help Doug out with this project, guys. Send him a trade offer.
I can't stress this enough. I want your 2021 Nia Jaxes. I do not care. These are things that, some people overvalue, some people undervalue. Very few people, I think, are valuing them correctly, so I really want to make sure that when I trade, like with some people, like I said, the ones that have been very generous, I have also maybe annoyed them a little bit with are you sure? Is this what you want to do? Because I want you to get what you want as much as I want to get what I want. So, just make sure you're valuing things appropriately. If you're giving me a deal, just make sure you're giving me a deal, because I'm going to do my best to make sure too. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks for starting this project, because for me, it's always refreshing to see new things coming out, not just the same old stuff that people keep collecting all the time. So when I found out you were doing this, I was just like, man, I can't wait to continue to not only help you with at least a few pieces to the project, but also just following along with the story, because I've said it before, the story behind the cards and the story behind the collections I don't think people kind of value that stuff enough. So I appreciate you, focusing. You said you have a hard time focusing. You got something going here that I think is just really awesome, and I can't wait to see it finished, hopefully one of these days.
Well, thank you. I hopefully when I finish it next week, you will be very proud of me.
That would be great. Guys, I'll put the link tree that he was mentioning in the show notes below, so it'll be easy for you to find everything. And go help out Doug. Help him get all of these matte relics and finish this ring so we can get a really cool drone shot of it.
Yeah, that'll be
all
great.
Right. Thanks for coming on. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks again to Doug for giving us his time for a second week in a row to come on this channel. Doug talked a little bit in this video and a little bit in the last week's video. Again, go back in the archives and check out not only that interview with Doug, but his first interview and all the other things that I have in the archives of this channel. But Doug talked about, really struggling to find his space in the hobby and what it was he wanted to collect. And seeing him start on this project and seemingly going all in on this project, I love it. It's awesome. And I really hope that it's inspiring a lot of you out there that are watching this within the card collecting community of maybe a different way you could start collecting that just brings that joy back to you. A little bit off topic, but tying in that kind of finding your place within the hobby. A few weeks back, we had Mike Summer, Wax Pack Hero, on, and he was talking about something similar as well. You know, finding that place within the wrestling card hobby. Where did he fit? You know, he wasn't really into modern, but maybe he didn't want to spend a ton of money on the high-end vintage. Where was Mike supposed to go? And eventually he settled on a special super collection. So that's two examples now of people I've had on that were struggling a little bit in the hobby, struggling to find their place, what to collect, what to buy. All of a sudden, they just decide to start on something and they go all in on it. I've said so many times, putting together super collections of your favorite wrestler or player or character. Putting together not necessarily sets. I mean, you could do that. Putting together like projects. Like, for example, I've been dabbling a little bit, I've talked about it some, about putting together a project of ECW autographs, like trying to get one autograph of everybody that ever appeared in the history of ECW, pre-WWE ECW. But that's just a little bit different, and some different fun ways that you can kind of rejuvenate your collecting if you get an idea and you're just not sure about it because the rest of the hobby hasn't validated you. Or maybe you're just looking to do something on a budget. There's so many different ways out there to have fun and put together interesting collections. Make sure to give Doug a follow on Instagram and Twitter. Again, links below to that. I've also got links below to his YouTube channel. Make sure to go check that out as well. Now, while you're checking out those links, make sure to check out all the links that I have down there that I've spoke about in this video. Links to the podcast, links to Patreon, social media links, eBay, much more. It's all down there. Thank you for your time today. I hope this video brought you some value, and go out there and, you know, if you're struggling with how to collect or what your place is within the hobby, just pick something fun and go for it. You know, I want to stop for a second and go back to my Killer Cross Super Collection. Still to this day, even though we're seeing him out on the indies and he's killing it, and he's got fans worldwide, pretty decent social media presence, yet people are out there telling me, why are you buying Karrion Kross? Because they still don't know his name is Killer. He's not even with the WWE anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care, because I connect with him as a character, as a wrestler, and I'm just having fun getting as many of his cards as possible. Could we potentially get up to 1 million Killer Kross cards? I don't know, we'll have to find out. But I can tell you I've been having a blast. Just like Mike I had mentioned, and just like Doug on today's video. Finding that project, going for it, and having a blast. I've taken up enough of your time today. Thank you for watching. Again, click the links below and hit the videos on the screen if you want more wrestling card content. Until next time, I'll see you.